Radio 1.
Craig Richards, King of Fabric, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Pete?
Very well, very well. I mean, as I was saying to you just off air, that normally this is about introducing new people. As far as I'm concerned, you're a legend. So this is reintroducing you maybe to a new audience. I don't know.
That's very kind of you.
You had a busy childhood, didn't you? I was reading back through some facts about you, and I didn't know you ran a barbershop.
I did, yes. When I was in my late teens, I worked in a second-hand clothing store, and I had a barber shop in the back. It was kind of a rockabilly barber shop, I suppose. So I was a one-trick pony, flat tops and quiffs, and you know.
All right, now I believe the ones that did pay, you used their money to start a record collection.
Yes, I mean that's pretty much. At that time, I was probably. I mean, none of us used to earn much money. I used to earn a fair bit of money at the time from it, or comparatively anyway. At the time when you probably would have got paid £8 working a greengrocer's shop for a Saturday, I used to pull in a little bit more than that, and I had enough money to spare money to buy records in the same street. There was a second-hand record shop, and I started buying records, which ultimately was the beginning of my DJing career, because as you probably remember yourself, having a large record collection in those days was a reason to be a DJ, you know, and I think having all those tunes, I used to just play at the parties, and by default you become a DJ really, rather than actually aspiring to be one.
So, was there a DJ or an artist that inspired you to really kind of kick it all off? Or was it a club?
Well, I think trips to London, actually. I mean, I grew up, in fact, I remember hearing you I grew up near Bournemouth, and bank holidays in Bournemouth were always a really big deal, and I remember hearing you a couple of times down here, very long time ago, sort of quarterdeck bar, and a few things. Bank holidays were totally taken over by Londoners in Bournemouth at that time, and I remember being very inspired by the change of music, because London DJs would come down, and it would be a very different sound. And obviously in those days, it was the only way you could really access music was to hear DJs playing it. You know, there was certainly no underground dance music shops near where I lived, and so I remember that was the initial inspirations really, of wanting to move from the New Forest up to London and hear music on a regular basis, because I wasn't exposed to it enough when I was a teenager. And then I guess trips to America. I used to go, when I was in my teens, I used to go to New York quite a lot. I had a friend who lived there, so I had somewhere to stay, and we went to lots of clubs at that time, and that was always very inspiring. I was lucky enough to go to the Paradise Garage quite a few times. All
right, so in the New Forest you identify the underground. In New York you stumble across probably what has been, if not always was, the greatest club of all time, Paradise Garage. Then you find yourself, of course, at home of the underground in what is now still regarded as one of the greatest clubs in the world, Fabric. You've been there for 11 years.
I know, it's the nearest thing I've ever had to a job. I mean, I remember years ago never wanting to have a job, and of course it doesn't really feel like one. It's a weekly job, and it's enormous amounts of fun. But yeah, I still love it. I'm lucky. I've got 3 rooms. I can play at any different time I want to, and I've had great control over what's happened down there. And I'm very proud of what we've achieved, really, for underground dance music, because I think we brought it to a wider audience and did it properly at the time of it opening. Things weren't the way they are now in terms of underground music being celebrated not to the mainstream, but underground dance music is really celebrated across the world now with the internet and the way it's been sort of proposed. And I think we were very much a part of the beginnings of that, and we could continue to keep moving it along, I hope.
11 years at Fabric. I mean, I go back with you a long way, and I remember you very much around the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, a lot of the DJs, that came through at that time, obviously, as the scene exploded, start travelling the world, their reputations go in different directions. You made a conscious decision. You stayed in one place, haven't you?
I mean, I really enjoy the setup there, and increasingly it's harder and harder. It's harder and harder, it seems, to play records on decks. Decks seem to have become a thing of the past, and I just really like the sound setup. I love London, and I suppose in many ways I don't really enjoy travelling. I think in the early stages of my travelling, not all of the gigs were good. The touring took a lot out of me, and I guess also that I like to do other things during the week. I still paint, and there are other things I need to be doing. I never wanted to just be 7 days a week a DJ, you know, and the travelling with with the travel time and getting home and recuperation, it tends to make it a seven day a week thing, and I just never really wanted to be that exhausted and that focused, you know.
15 minutes of fame on a Friday night this week with Craig Richards. You've chosen 3 records, one you've made, one you've remixed, and one you like. Let's kick off with the one you made. Tell me about this.
This is a track that I've made with Howie B, and it's from our forthcoming album. We're going to release it as a book. I'm making the paintings for the book now, and Howie's writing poems, poetry, and it'll be released at the end of the year. And this is a short track which has us both singing on it. The main piece taken from Howie's mobile phone, the ringtone of his mobile phone. And it's I don't know how to describe it. It's a sort of a funky little thing.
All right, here it is. Ringring. That was Ring, Craig Richards and Howie B. Now, Craig, not content with DJing, making music, painting, working for Fabric, you got your own label with pal Joseph, Fist or Finger. It's been difficult to hold a label together the last 5 or 6 years. Is it a labour of love, or is it
I think it can only really be a labour of love, and particularly as we've chosen to make it vinyl only, so that it sort of limits the audience somewhat, and guarantees no financial gain whatsoever, but it does mean that we're releasing music in the format that we choose. There's small runs of vinyl, and I still play vinyl, and something that's very close to my heart, so this is how we chose to do it. The idea was that his tracks are very obviously strong dance floor tracks, and I would sort of remix them, dismember them, turn them into sort of soundscapes. All
right. Well, that description of deconstruction there, in terms of painting, leads us perfectly onto remixing. How do you go about a remix?
Well, for this, I've just been taking the pieces, sampling. I'm starting to work on my own now. I've always worked with engineers. It's fun when you don't have to think about the dance floor. You know, there's no beats in it, so you're not thinking about breaks, moments, beginning, ending. It's a fairly relaxed way of working, really. I really enjoy it.
Okay, this is